So we've got a new project in the shop at the moment. I'll show you guys in a minute, but for now let's just do it like that. It's an E30 BMW M-Tech 1. It's in for a full repaint inside the door jambs, engine bay, all that good stuff. It's just going gloss jet black. Yeah, nice and simple. I might do inside the guards as well, just to tidy everything up. You can see under there, down there. There, fuck, I can't do this back to front. Might put some fresh new Raptor underbody seal on there. So there, as you can see, this customer actually stripped this job down for us and put it on a dolly, and you know, made the job nice and easy for us. So this will receive that's just glue and residue, not as much rust as they typically have up there. There you can see there's a little bit of rust, so we'll deal to that before we paint it. But other than that, it's just going to be a simple degrease and a red scotchy. Inside the door jambs itself, that will get, you know, a nice proper sand, although we won't put primer filler in there. We'll just bring our primer filler down to that edge, or maybe that one. Haven't decided yet. Window trim or rubbers, they will come out, and the color will back mask to there, and the color will go all the way down. It's got a new sunroof because this one's got a bit of rot in it. Not painting inside the boot itself, but it's a little bit of rust just under there that will be seen to, obviously, before painting. And then yeah, other than that, relatively simple and straightforward job. I'm actually looking quite forward to doing this because she's a nice old girl that will receive a very simple yet and understated but beautiful new lease of life. Now that we got the Beamer in the shop, we're just gonna do the final prep for the engine bay. There's some sanding that needs to happen. There's, you know, little bits of surface rust here and there, so we'll just wire wheel that and sand it just to make sure that everything's smooth. Then the process after that would be to use an epoxy urethane primer first, and then a sealer, like a 2K sealer, then the color over the top of that. Some new color under the front guards. We inspected that. It doesn't need new texture because the texture is actually still in really good condition. We're just going to put some fresh black over that with matte clear coat, and then it should look nice and fresh. Okay, so we've got the body of the E30 in the booth now. I might prime it tonight, actually. I haven't quite decided. I'm tired, man. You know, it's been a long day. Plus, you can see there, we've got the engine bay covered off, because I'm going to try and do that. Not in the same session, obviously, as the primer, but, you know, the next sitting. So I'll just finish priming the body, pull the plastic off, then do the engine bay, like after a bike cycle or tomorrow, whatever. It prepped up really well, not too much damage. You can see down this side over there's only a couple of small bits of body filler that I had to put in, and then there was some other previous repairs. And what we're gonna do here at the back, it's a little bit arse about face, but I need to keep this project moving forward in the meantime. There's a couple of rust patches that need to be cut out and, you know, shot welded back in there. It's a metal plate, but I couldn't get that done today. So yeah, we're just gonna prime what we can and then spot prime any work that needs to be done afterwards. It's not a big deal, it's just a little bit arse about face, like I said. So we're just about to start prepping the panels for paint. We got Nate over there, block sanding the bonnet. What he's doing is he's blocking it with what grit are you using? 240. 180 grit sandpaper. What that's going to do is it's going to level all of the primer out, and it cuts the orange peel, and it just makes the panel as flat as possible. And once he's done that, then we'll blow it off, all the residual dust out, and we'll put some guide coat over the primer, and then we'll do a finish sand with like 320 or 400 grit sandpaper. More than likely 320, because we'll just use a 2K primer surfacer before we put the top coat on. So now in this part of the video, me and Nate Dogg's gonna long block. People don't even use this anymore, but again, I don't use it that frequently, but because of the color, this thing's going jet black. There is nowhere to hide. The panels have to be fully flat, fully smooth, just so that you can actually appreciate, you know, the simplicity that is jet black. So the reason I use this is because you can see the board slightly longer. I think this is maybe, how long do you reckon this is? 400 millimeters. And I've got 180 grit sandpaper on here. You're taking the fucking piss. I'm using 180 grit sandpaper because when I move this along the surface, because of the length and the coarseness of the sandpaper, what it's going to do is it's going to level that surface completely. Meaning we're not going to have ripples in the panel, or we're less likely to. So this is just part of the process. This doesn't guarantee. We still have to do it, and then we've got to check for level, and we've got to sand it smooth, wet the panel with some Prepsol, and then check to see if we can see anything. So yeah, after this part of the process, you blow it down, you put more guide coat in, and then you will see the scratches that this left behind. Then you use your DA sander, and you go over that, and you remove the scratches, and then it's ready for paint, if I haven't rubbed through anywhere or found any ripples and things like that. Otherwise, if that is the case, then I have to reprime it or use filler if the dents or ripples are too deep, and then go again. So it's not that cut and dried. It's like a process, you know. You got to start, check, go again, check, and then, you know, so you got to do that back forth bullshit until it's done and until it's at the point where it needs to be. Okay, we're just in the booth again. We've got some panels in here for repriming. I've got the two doors, the boot lid and the bonnet. I did the initial prime, and then we did a 180 long block just to see the actual level condition of the panels. And as it turned out, they weren't that level, meaning we've had a few rub throughs and a couple of bits and pieces that we missed in the pre-primer preparation stage. So now, since we know the panels are dead straight, we're just going to reprime it to seal all the rub throughs in. And then once they're reprimed, we will long block them again with 320 grit sandpaper just to cut the orange peel and just level that off. So these are obviously what's known as rub throughs, meaning we've rubbed through the primer coat, and between these 3 points, this section of this panel is level. Because obviously, if you can imagine, we had the long block going over that. These areas were higher, so that's why they've broken through first. So now all we're trying to achieve with this next prime up, I mean, the same thing happened on all of these panels, the bonnet as well. Look, this is bound to happen in the nature of this type of job, you know. So the only objective with this next prime up is to seal all of those rub throughs up so that we don't have any issues when we do the top coat. Okay, so it's the next day and we got the bonnet, two doors, and the boot lid out of the booth from a reprime. I put 2 coats, maybe 3 coats, I can't remember now, more of primer on those panels, just to give us a bit more body to block back with. And now we've got old Nate Dog over there in the back, 320 grit on the longboard, just to make sure we cut the, we cut the orange peel out, do the final level off, and then he's blowing that off, cleaning it, re-guide coating it, and then finish sanding with what, 400?
Yeah,
and then going over with 400 grit on the DA with the interface pad. So we use the interface pad in that case because we don't need to do any more shaping. All we're doing is removing the scratches from the 320, which aren't that much and aren't that deep in any case. So what Nate's actually doing first before he moves on to the DA sanding, he's doing all the hand sanding first. Then that way with the DA, can sand out any deep scratches that the hand sanding might have put in as well. So the DA is like the finish sanding, maybe superfine pad. New guide code, and then DA interface 400 grit sandpaper. End of story, sayonara, send it. Okay, so we've got the Beamer fully prepped now. We're just doing the final wipe down. One more check over. It's been prepped all wipe. Just got Nathaniel here, or Nate Dog, doing a little check around the back, making sure we haven't missed anything. And then, yeah, we're gonna start to mask it, get it loaded in the booth, spot primed, and she'll be painted today. Okay, I'm just in the booth now. I've got most of the parts loaded up. Everything except the sunroof and a few other little bits and pieces. So we got most of the major door panels loaded up, degreased. I just have to do a final tack wipe and anti-static blow off, and then she'll be good to go. So there, as you can see, man, the glass is ridiculous. It's so important to use the right speed reducer and hardener depending on the scale of your job, because that allows things to flow out properly and settle, and that's how you get minimum orange peel. Like you can see, there's basically nothing in there. Like, that's me. I can almost see the dust or the overspray on the walls. Nah, real happy with this. Yeah, bro.